Hi guys, Flying Pig Games here. So today we are, as you can see, in a 737 NGX. No, wait, 737-900 NGX. This is the variant with winglets on the end. Now from PMDG you get the 800 and the 900 with and without winglets. So I'm gonna do a bit of a flight to. It is gonna be a flight to the whole flight to Innsbruck from here, which is Munich. And I'm sort of gonna do a basic tutorial of how to fly this thing. Now, Now obviously I'm not a real pilot, so this probably is not going to be accurate in any way, but this is a way you can fly this thing and get it into the air. I mean, if you want proper tutorials of how to do it properly, yeah, this isn't the place to be. So, obviously it's kind of dark now. So, yeah, let's get some lighting going. But first thing to mention is when you load in, you want to load in on a gate, not on the runway, on a gate, okay? And make sure you know which gate you're at. That will become important later. Also, you may want to have done some route planning beforehand. Now you can use quite a simple online tool for that. I use one called Online Flight Plan, I believe it is. I'll leave a link in the description. You just drop in your the airport you want to fly from, where you want to fly to, hit go, and it'll give you a flight plan file which you drop into the PMDG folder, and you can load that straight into the FMC with minimal fuss and faff of going through all the route. You don't have to do that, enter each waypoint manually. You just literally hit yes, this route, go, and it does it for you. It also gives you the fuel data, which you should note down. That's the one thing I forgot to do. It's fine. I think I remember roughly what it was. So, first thing you need to do to get started is find the battery switch. Now, you can use EasyDock. In fact, I would advise using EasyDock, but I've broken my install of EasyDock, so I'm not going to be. Am I looking at the wrong thing? First thing, yes I am. First thing you need is the battery switch, which is this switch here. Whoops, flick that to on and close the guard. Then you want the emergency lighting here. That goes to armed and close that. Okay, as you can see, we now have some illumination. Now, because of how, in fact, let's, first off, these switches here, flick those to nav, like so. Right, now you can just ignore them, put the dome lighting on if you wish. You don't have to. That's dependent on how dark it is and whether you feel like having it on or not. Yes, be quiet. Oh God. Hold on, I'm just trying to figure out what that is. Sod it, let's start the APU. That'll shut it up once the APU's running. Don't know what that alarm is. It occasionally goes off when you start up. Don't worry, it'll stop soon. Right, we put all these switches you're gonna want on. there we go. That alarm shut up. Okay, now you'll want the fuel pumps to come on. Now right now, these aren't going to do anything because they've got no electrical power. They can't run off the battery, they need the APU running. So just give it one moment. You're watching for this gauge to stabilize, and when it does and this APU gen off bus lights up, flick that switch and that switch and you get APU power. So now you can see the lights under the fuel pump have gone out and 2 of these lights have gone out. That's good, that's what we want. Now we're going to put the packs into auto for now. That's the air conditioning for the passengers. APU bleed should be on, it is. Don't need the engine bleeds right now, we don't want them, so turn them off. Now we're going to go lighting. Wheel well lights off, sorry, on, wing lights go on. We're not going to put the anti-cols or the strobe on yet, we are going to put the logo on. That's all we need down there. Is there anything I'm missing? That's on, that's good. That's all good. That's all good. So now we are going to go back to, whoops, did not want that, virtual cockpit. Right, now what do we do here? Well, we need to grab that. Now you can go down there and do it down there, but I find it's easier to have it here. So actually I don't want this one yet. I want the right hand FMC. Let's go FSX or FS actions fuel. Let's go. I want 5,000 kilograms or 5 tons of fuel on board. Yep, that's good, that's all fine. Now that number comes from the flight plan. That'll tell you what your total required fuel is. Now I believe mine's actually 4,000. I've just added an extra 1,000 just to be on the safe side. Payload, that's passengers and that. Honestly, you can set this to whatever you want, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to take a full load of passengers today because I fancy being heavy. Now, the amount of stuff you take affects the weight of the aircraft and affects how it flies, so just be aware of that. It'll also affect your fuel consumption. Ground connections. I don't want to do anything with that right now. Doors, let's close all the doors. Now we can ditch the pitot covers and the wheel chocks, but the pitot covers, well, everything will automatically remove when you take the wheel chocks out. So that's all I need to do on that one for right now. So I am going to close that and bring this guy up. Now you go to FMC. Init ref is where you want to start. Reference airport, that is the ICAO code or whatever it's called. For Munich it is what is it for Munich? Oh dear. Right, simple way of doing this, you just go to the map and it'll tell you on that. It is Echo Delta Delta Mike, I believe. There's a lot of writing there, but I believe it's Echo Delta Delta Mike, and that sounds familiar. Bosh that in there. Now my gate, this is what I said was important earlier, goes in there. Now what we're going to do to get our original, our starting position, we come here, grab GPS L or R, left or right, don't matter which, they should both be the same. Ignore when it says nav data out of date, that's just, there we go. Grab one of them, you'll see it pops in down here, go back to that page and drop it in there. And it's taken that, that's good. Now you'll notice our screens have come to life now. That's because doing that has made the system all work fine. Hold on. That one seems to be a little bit fucked. Let me just see if I can fix that. Let's turn you off and back on again. Yes, I know you're on DC. You're meant to be on DC at the minute. Right, that's into a line. We just wait for that to stop. Whatever. It'll sort itself out now. Right. What do we need to do? We need that again. Nope, come here. We need you again. Okay, so now we've got that. Now the aircraft knows where we are initially. So now we got over to route. Origin is where we are. Pop that in there. Co-route, now that is what I told you earlier. This, when you do your route plan, you'll get a file. That is your company route or co-route. Now you need to put in whatever the name of that file was into here. Now I always go with for the name, the code of the airfield I'm starting at, followed by the code of the airfield I wish to go to. And for Innsbruck that is Lowy, however you want to pronounce it. Lima Oscar Whiskey India. There we go. Now we hit activate. There we go, that route is now active in here. Runway today we are going to use 08. Let's zoom in on that. I'm trying to decide which runway to use. Now this here will zoom that display down there, bring it down to 10. We're going to use 08 left, I've decided. Not sure if that's the best one to use because that's being a pain, but it's the one we are going to use. Flight number we are going to go with... what do we go with? Let's be British Airways, even though we're nowhere in the UK. British Airways flight 1552, why not? 1552 Tango, let's have. If it'll allow that, it will. Okay. Right, that is good. Now that, by the way, doesn't matter at all. You can make that up completely, or you can use a real world airline thing. A lot of people do that. You can probably find stuff like that on Google, but I'm not that interested. I just pull them out my backside. Perf in it. This is our performance calculations. If you just double click 0 fuel weight, it puts a bunch of numbers in for you. Reserve today is going to be 2 tons. Again, that's something the flight plan would tell you, but I do not remember mine. Cost index 66, let's say. Now that is basically the cost index is how aggressively the autopilot system will run. So if you set a high cost index, let's say you set 99, I believe is the highest it'll allow, it will run seriously aggressively. It'll run the engines at full power and, you know, climb very steeply and such. Whereas if you set a lower cost index, it'll try and fly more efficiently. And you can also see these displays have sorted themselves out now. So yeah, we're gonna go 66. I don't really know what a realistic figure is at all, but whatever. We want a cruise altitude. I always go with this one on the left, 7945. That's suggesting the most efficient cruise altitude there. Now it's going to have a problem with me probably doing this, but nope, it's accepted that. That's fine. And one limits, we don't want to derate at all. This basically, if you're taking a very light load, like let's say the aircraft was empty, you might not need to use full power on takeoff, so you'd go to a 24k derate, say, or a 22k. It basically means you use less power than you would otherwise. We've got a full load, so we're going to bump it up to 27k. I don't think that's necessary as such, but I just want to give it a go. Normally I'd just leave it at the standard 26k takeoff, but I've never used the bump up, so let's see what that does. And again, climb, this sets how much power you use in the climb. We're just going to use the standard amount. Okay, that seems good. Flaps, we are going to use flaps 10 on takeoff. I'd advise flaps 5 or 10 for takeoff. Not too bad either way. Double click C of G. That's going to give you your trim setting for takeoff. So this wheel here tells you, if you hover over it, a box will appear telling you what it's at. You just need to scroll wheel on that until it gets to the value shown where it says trim. And there we go, we are at 5.10. Now you don't touch the trim for the rest of the flight. The aircraft will sort trim out of its own accord. It's got an auto trim. Now we just click these in here. V1 is our decision speed. That means once we get to 141 knots, we've got to decide, are we going to take off or not? That's past V1, you cannot stop. Essentially, you cannot safely stop in the runway remaining. VR is our rotate speed. That's when we start pulling back on the control column. And V2, I believe, I'm not certain what that is, what V2 really means. I believe it's like the minimum speed where you can continue the takeoff if you lose an engine. The minimum speed you can actually still safely climb away at, I believe, but I'm not certain on that. Right, so that's done. Now I'm going to go route, check that looks good. You'll notice page 1 of 2. Let's just click and check what's on here. Climb, that looks good. Cruise looks good. Destinations, fine. Legs, right, this is where we want to have a look. This seems strange. Oh, I know why. Let's go departure arrival. Now we need to set a departure up. So this is the route it takes from the end of the runway to where we physically take off. No, what? I'm making zero sense, I apologise. This is the route we take from the end of the runway to the start of our route. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, I'm sorry. I'm going to take the Turb 60 because I remember Turb on our thing. Do I? Turbo, so I've taken Turb 60, it'll do all that. It'll do some funky stuff. Right, now, arrival into Lowy. We are going to use the... No, didn't want that at all. Let's just go back. I believe we want the Lima Lima Zulu 26 approach. That's the weird approach. We are going to take an RTT transition and Brand 2A arrival. Again, you could get all this from your route planner. I've forgotten what it said I should use, but whatever. Right, now that's all done, we want to go back and check this again because it may have changed it. Aha, you see route discontinuity here. That is an issue. So we just take the last one, that's... Oh, we take the destination from the other side of the discontinuity and drop it in as I've broken this. To be fair, the Innsbruck approach I'm going to be flying it visual anyway, so I'm not too concerned about that. Okay. Cruise is good, right? Yeah, that looks fine to me. Unable 230 knot, that just means the speed it's got for a certain waypoint it's not able to do. That's fine. Right, I'm going to put it onto the route page for right now because... No, actually I want the legs page. This is where you want to be sorting the route discontinuity actually, because the other place is awkward. Here you can see the discontinuity and it's easy to fix. No, it's not. Oh, go away. I know you're unable 230 knots there. I don't care. Right, let's take that one and try. See if she'll go direct to there. Yes, I know. Go away. Right, it's fine. I'll figure it out once we get over there. That's all good though. Apart from the discontinuity, which is a little annoying, but whatever. Now, hold on, let me come down here. Obviously, you've got all your comm stuff here. If we were using VATSIM, I would be using all this comm stuff. We are not using VATSIM because my internet is too poor for that. But basically the way it works is you've got COM1 and COM2 on the left and right. Are they linked? No. So, when you scroll this, you change the standby side. As you can see, that's adjusting the volume currently. This one will adjust frequency. Little knob at the top adjusts the decimal point. Big knob at the bottom adjusts the whole number. So you set the frequency you want there, and then when you actually want to use that frequency, you click that arrow and it puts it onto the active thing. Now we are using, I have no idea. How do I switch between them? No idea. As you can tell, I don't use VATSIM, so I don't really know how the comm stuff works. All I know is you can set the airfield information frequency there, and that's all good. But whatever. Now this is like your ILS jazz. That's other stuff. This is all complicated stuff that we don't need to worry about for this. As I said, I'm not teaching you how to do it properly, I'm teaching you how to get this thing in the air and flying. So, on that note, I clicked the wrong one again. On that note, let's see. Obviously, we're going to need to go back that way behind us. We're not going to be able to swing round here. Not without dying, at least. So I'm going to push back. Now, to do that, we are going to use... Come here. This one again. FS actions. Push back. We are going to go 300 meters straight back. There we go. There we go. Start. Oh, not 300 meters, 300 feet straight back.
We're all set to go up here. We've been cleared
Just
to push
listen
and
to these
start
guys.
at your discretion.
Okay.
Roger that, ready for push. Power and air are clear, doors closed. We are ready for pushback. Release parking brake, please.
Okay, so I've got to release the parking brake. To do that, I'm just going to tap the brakes and it's off.
Cleared push.
So we are going to flick ignition to both. Engine 1, let's start that. We go to ground like so. Then we go center pedestal. Right, so I'm watching these gauges, make sure they're rising normally. When this one reaches 20 odd, 15 to 20, I'm going to give it fuel. Now with any luck, this is going to work. That does not look like it's working. Let's put some fuel in and see what happens. That has not worked. What have I done wrong? Overhead lower panel, I've missed something. Yep, I've got to turn the packs off to do this, otherwise we can't generate enough air pressure to spin the turbines quick enough. And there we go, now they're off, that's rising. Okay, set parking brake, we can click that to do that.
Pressure's normal.
And now we are watching this to ensure that's coming up.
We will be watching for the pin and the release from guidance on the right side of the airplane, and we'll see you guys next time through.
Obviously, while starting, you're ready here in case anything goes weird. You just flick that to cut off and it stops all the fuel. The click you heard a moment ago was the starter cut out, which means we can now go back up here and do the same with the other engine. See, you notice that's coming up much quicker now. We've got the packs off, and that's coming up to 20, so let's chuck some fuel in. And yep, that looks like we've got good ignition. EGT on the left seems to be stable, N1's stable, N2 is stable. All that seems to be stable. EGT is dropping slightly. Starter cut out. Now what you want is to make sure the left and right are symmetrical. If they're not, there's a small issue. Right now, don't panic. They're not quite, well, they are now pretty much. It will take them a minute to equalise, and there might be slight variations between them, but shouldn't be much. So we also need this set up here. We're gonna bring that to 081 because that's, no wait, that's the wrong thing. You don't need to touch that at all, just ignore that. I'm gonna set that to 000, which is where it was, I believe. IAS Mac. I'm going to set that to our V2 speed right now, which was 151. Heading, this one you need to set to your runway heading 081. You want to keep this synced up with the FMC really, just in case there's any issues. Altitude, I'm going to set that straight up to our cruise altitude. That's way too high there. We're going 7,500 or that. No, 7,950 or something. Let's call it 8,000, that's close enough. I want these two in the up position. Hold on, clicking with, whoops, with track IR is awkward. Go away. Right, that's good. Where's my flight director? That, I want that to come on. Okay. Right, now we are good. So we now need lighting. That's going to be runway turn off lights and taxi lights. The APU can oh crap, I did a bad. We need whoops. So lesson learned. Always switch over to your engine gens before you shut the APU off. I'm an idiot. Packs can go to auto now. Engine bleeds I want on. APU bleed can go off. We now go over, check that is generating good voltage and ampage on the AC. Check that is, yep, both are doing good. The battery should be good like that. Yeah, so we need, no, we don't want window heats, but you need to put the probe heats on now. Right, we are good almost to taxi. Whoops. So, only thing left to do is bring that there. That is the auto brake into RTT. Now this is gonna go to, actually not yet, it can stay there. Don't know what that switch is on. Oh, it likes the compass, I want that. Yes. Right, we are now going to start to taxi. But firstly, before we do so, I want to do a flight controls check. Full back, full forward, full left, full right, left rudder, right rudder. All are moving. That is good. Now, we're going to taxi to our runway. To do that, you want to follow the yellow lines. I'm just using my... Yeah, if you push it, the power up too high on the ground, it will moan at you. Now, while we're doing this, we can go flaps down and start... Oh crap, I just moved my trim wheel. Whoops. I will have to deal with that shortly. Now, you're taxiing to your runway. That should be flaps 10 now, I believe. Now on here, it'll show the runway you're taking off from. So we're heading down to this end. Well, let's see just how much I broke the trim. Quite a bit. Hold on. Now this is why you want to be flying shared cockpit in the Airbus, because you know that's why they fly shared cockpit in real life, so one pilot can focus on actually being in control of the aircraft while the other can do anything that needs doing inside the aircraft. It's quite difficult when you're flying alone. Stop. Okay, let's try not to do a million things at once, because it'll lead to us dying. Right, that's the trim sorted. So I want to go down that taxiway to our left. You can see there's another aircraft taking off. Now just for reference as to how I'm taxiing, I haven't got my hand on the yoke at all. I'm literally just rudder pedals and throttles. That's all I'm touching. Now obviously if you're on VATSIM, you'd have to communicate with air traffic control for permission to taxi and which way you're taxiing, but that's fine. So we're going to go quickly to the flight officer's seat to check our flap position and just confirm we are flap 10. Whoops, track air causing issues. Hold on, where are the flaps? Okay, we can't do it from the FO seat. Let's go. Centre pedestal might be easier. Yep, we are flap 10. Okay. Now the runway is off to our left. You can see the lights leading off to it just ahead. And there's plenty of traffic flying around ahead as well. Hopefully none of them are coming in to land on our runway. Well, in fact, they are actually. This guy is coming into land, and these two behind him are coming into land. Now, we're probably going to go after this guy. Actually, they might be coming in for the other runway. Where is the runway, s'il vous plaît? Oh, it's directly ahead of me. Now, these... where are they? You're going to see some dashed lines on the taxiway in a moment. We are going to stop at them. You have to stop at them, and if we had air traffic control, you have to stop and contact air traffic control before you go any further. Now, we don't have air traffic, but I use them as my whole point to do final setups and checks and such. So, I'm going to arm LNAV and VNAV's not going to arm because it's a Pratt. That's fine. Let's arm the auto throttle. Will VNAV arm now? It will not. Alright, that's fine. What else do I need to do? Auto brake is RTO. Gear is down, 3 greens. That's all good. Landing lights need to come on. I'm going to put our strobe and such on. I've forgotten something I should have done earlier. I am a terrible person. All my passengers may have died because I forgot to put the seatbelt sign on. Actually, let's put them both to auto. Alright, let's go. That's us ready. They're not coming in for our runway. There is nobody on our runway right now. That dude is probably about to go. So, let's beat him to the punch. Okay, we are now on the runway. Okay, we're gonna just get lined up here. And stop.